All right. I am excited to be joined by Roger Chandler here, head coach of Michigan State wrestling team. And welcome back, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Exciting time of the year. New group coming in, and you know what? It's all moving forward right now.
I like it. I like it. When you were just telling me ahead of time that a lot of the guys are moving in right now as we speak, right, and getting some new people on campus. But always wanted to follow up on the rest of the team here. So how's the summer training been going?
Training was good. So we did a really good training cycle there. Obviously, right after the NCAAs, we trained for the U20s, and then the senior nationals. We took some guys out there to Vegas, and then we gave them a short week break, and then they came back and they trained through the U23s. Gave them another short mini break early June, and then we trained through basically July 15th, and then they've had the last 4.5 weeks off.
Very good, very good. So let's talk a little bit about last season, right? Because it's always good to have that as kind of the foundational jumping off point. But it was a good dual meet season, 10-6 on the year. We had good wins over ranked Wisconsin and Illinois teams during the conference season as well. So, what were some of the stronger points that you figured that you could take from last season, looking back on it?
Obviously we had some veterans there. I look at Lane Malcheski. He's been such a major mainstay leader within our program for many years, and I think he was a five-time NCAA qualifier, and he just obviously he led the team in so many ways, and kept the glue together with many of those guys, and obviously he'll be missed, but I think he's established some of the younger guys to take leadership roles in our program, and he's definitely left a lasting impact on these guys. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of interviewing Lane several times, and his energy and enthusiasm really always stood out as just different than you usually get from somebody who's grinding away at such a difficult sport and who had to go through as many injuries as he did throughout his career too. So he's definitely going to be missed for sure. So what sort of opportunities as well when you look back at the season are there to make improvements and continue to build on?
There's always opportunity, right? And I love opportunity, but it's what you do with opportunity. And you know, we had some young guys in the lineup last year. I mean, whether you point to Josh Terrell or Kale Whistler, they had that new freshman rule where you can compete so many dates. So these guys get experience, whether it be Clayton Jones, Caleb Whean, and even those guys, a couple of those guys redshirted still. They were able to get valuable experience that is definitely going to help them going into this season. But as far as things we can build on, you know what? Kind of reminds me of my first or second year as head coach. We do have a overall young team going into this year. Overall, I mean, it's going to be a very young team, and really, really excited. Like the energy. Okay, when you start off with a young team, the energy's good and they're very moldable. And that's kind of how I feel about these guys right now. Is you go through these processes, and not all these guys are number one, number two, or top 10 recruits in the country, but it's how they develop and how they evolve. And I know us as a staff, we take great pride in that, and getting these guys to develop and just continue to evolve as individuals. So,
Well, and it's been fun, obviously watching you guys over the years and continuing to develop talents, whether it was guys like Rayvon Foley or Cam Caffey and everything like that. So it'll be fun to watch you guys do the same thing with another young team here. So last year you had five NCAA qualifiers, which is, half the team is really solid, right? So returning now, I mean, we referenced Lane Malcheski, Jordan Hamden graduated, Tristan Lujan will be returning. So talk a little bit about him. He's going to be bumping up to 133 and kind of what your expectations are for him as, one of the senior leaders here.
Obviously Tristan has been around for a long time, and I give him a lot of credit for coming back. Obviously one of his best friend and Chase Saldate is no longer with our program, and he's just a loyal guy. He gave me his word when he came into this program that, hey, I'm going to be here for 5 years, and he actually graduated last year. And for him to come back, that speaks volume about the person that he is. And, he's even expressed to me, he goes, I think this is a great opportunity for me to take a big leadership role in the program. And, he really adjusted and adapted throughout the season and competed at a high level. Even those losses that he had at the end of the year, whether it be Big Tens or NCAAs, he was competing well. And I think he got some valuable experience. That was his first time at the NCAA championships. And, I think it's going to do a lot for his confidence. Number one, I mean, confidence is a big thing. But I also think he learned how to manage some matches at a championship level towards the end of the season last year.
Yeah, he's always been somebody I've been looking at in the lineup as being so close to getting over the hump. I mean, how do you think jumping up a weight class is going to be, pretty beneficial for him?
Yeah, he's grown, quite a bit over the years. And obviously, we've had some different guys at different weights over the years, 33, and it's kind of forced him to stay down. It was a tough cut for him last year. And I know it affected him. He finally got it locked in there the last, 6 weeks of the season, which was good. But, obviously he was struggling, getting that weight down, the first 2/3 of the season. And, by him bumping up, he's going to be able to focus on his wrestling more than just cutting weight. And that's a big part of our sport, right? If you feel good, you're obviously going to be able to execute and, be able to compete full 7 minutes.
Absolutely. So you referenced earlier Chase Saldate and Caleb Fish, transferring to other programs. So just talk a little bit about, their time at Michigan State and what you're doing moving forward.
Obviously I have a big, soft spot for both of those guys. I had really good relationships with them and I still do. But, they took our program to another level. And I always said, hey, how can you impact and make Spartan wrestling better? And there was no doubt. I mean, you look at our dual mate wins over the last few years, and both of those guys, I mean, they were key players in it. And you know what? When they decided they wanted to explore some different options, and that was their choice. And obviously, I was disappointed, right? Anytime you lose somebody of that nature, because you have to fill voids, right? Mm-hmm. But now it's next man up. But but going back to them, there's no ill will there on my part. I wish Chase would have went to a different program, but I mean, you're in-state rival, and he's going over there. But you know what? Both those guys had to do what was best for them, and I hope they achieve their goals and accomplish big things for themselves.
100%. So, but let's talk about this team, right? And I was texting you over the weekend and I was looking at the roster and the lineups, and I'm like, man, this is pretty exciting. There's a lot of young guys, like you already talked about. So tell me a little bit about, as a coaching staff, how the approach changes or is adjusted with a young team with a lot of people, hungry, trying to get into the lineup and competing internally, versus a team of veterans and kind of established guys in positions.
I think when you come in with the young team, everybody's excited, right? And, the sky's the limit, right? And you kind of set that tone early in their career to get them to, take the bait a little bit. You get a little bit of success and then you want more. And I think back in the days of when Caffey came in and Rayvon came in, they had that taste of success early, which drove them for bigger things. And we got the same thing going on right now. I mean, gosh, we are a young team overall. I mean, I think 2/3 of our team are within their first 2 years, right? We're bringing in 14 new guys to the program this year. And, I can go on and on about certain guys, but, I don't know where you want me to go with this and just talk about certain guys or whatnot. But you know what? These guys, they want to be successful. Obviously after we lost Chase and Fish, I mean, it was pretty cool. Obviously we called the team meeting to let the guys know and whatnot. But there was all kinds of rumors out there. Staff's getting let go, this and that. Programs getting dropped. And I just had to cut it off the pass because rumors just fly out there. And anyways, I sat down with the team, told them exactly what was happening. I didn't mix words. I just said, hey, these guys just want to explore other options. And the response I got from the guys that are coming back was great. They're like, Coach, we got your back. Good things are going to come. And as a coach, that's the kind of message that you want to hear from your team, right? Mm-hmm. they're going to rebound, they're going to step up, they're going to do their part to play a member in this program. So, that got me really motivated as a coach, and I know the rest of the staff's excited as well.
100%, man. Well, let's talk about some of the weights here and some of the guys who, we've seen in the lineup maybe in the past and whatnot. I'm excited again. I referenced earlier DJ Shannon dropping down to 165, was wrestling 174 last year, and Cesar Garza coming back. He wrestled as a freshman for you 2 years ago and was, had a really, really awesome true freshman season, redshirted last year. So just talk about, both those guys and kind of what you expect to see out of them as a 1-2 punch in the lineup at 65 and 74.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to have to earn their spots because there's some other guys there
100%.
too. Well, I mean, that's just reality. But those are guys that have been around the program and people, their names, right? That people recognize. But DJ, I think you saw what he's capable of there. The last 6 weeks of the season. I mean, he's a dangerous competitor, and he had some good wins this year. Some close. There's no such thing as a good loss, but I mean, he wrestled what's his name from Illinois, Ruth.
Yeah, Ruth.
Overtime, and then 1-0 match of the Big Tens, I think it was. Mm-hmm. But he's capable of being at that level. He's so talented. He's so gifted, and it's just a matter of him, processing it through his head that, hey, I can compete with the best week in and week out every time I step on the mat. And the thing I'll say about DJ, okay, obviously he was at Illinois before he came here for 3 mm-hmm. seasons, right? Last year was his first year ever in college that he made it through a full year without being hurt. And, I think the most matches he ever had in the year was 9 or maybe 11 matches. And he wrestled a full schedule, and he got through it unscathed. And I think that built some confidence for him. And you know what? It's an exciting time for him. But then Cesar took his red shirt last year. He competed as a true freshman, had some success. And he's coming back, and he's a leader in the program. One thing we challenge every guy in our program to be is a leader in some way, and Cesar's really taken that to heart. He wants to be a leader. He wants to be a guy. He leads by example. Okay, he lives the right lifestyle. It's not in the social part of college at all, and but he really cares about his teammates and himself. So it's an exciting time for both of those guys. Specifically.
Very good. Very good. So let's talk through some of the weights if we can. And we already talked a little bit about 65, 74 and 33 and, kind of some of the people coming back there. But let's go through 125. It looks like there's going to be this is going to be a recurring theme, a little bit of youth in the lineup there, but talk about some of the battles you expect to see from the 125 crew.
Yeah, right now, obviously I don't have my roster in front of me. We're starting out the year with 41. We have to get down to a roster limit of 35 by our first competition, but we got 41 guys on the team right now. Mm-hmm. And at 25 right now, we got obviously Caleb William. He had some success last year. He redshirted, and I think you can see his talent level. I mean, mm-hmm. Very talented, athletic kid, and he's very dangerous from a lot of positions. He can turn you on top. He can throw you. He can hit you on single legs, whatnot. But he's just a very diverse wrestler and can wrestle from a lot of different positions. But then you got Nick Corday. He got hurt a little bit at the Midlands last year. Had to have surgery. He's coming back now. He's looking good, and he's going into his 3rd year. Tough kid. He was a little undersized coming to college, but he's a full-fledged 25-pounder now. But both those guys should have a impact into the lineup this year. And then we got a true freshman. His Drew Hansen. He's from Michigan, and he was a Fargo All-American this past summer out in in Greco, and so he brings a dynamic to the program, and he's a nice size 25-pounder. So those are the 3 25-pounders that we have there right now. 33, you just want me to move on?
Yeah, let's keep it rolling, man.
Yeah, 33, obviously, Tristan Lujan's a guy that we're pointing to, but he's definitely going to take a leadership role in the program. He's coming back for his 5th year. And, but we also got this junior college national champ transfer, Cody Phelps. Cody Phelps is the real deal. He's been here for a couple weeks training. The plan is to redshirt him this year. But you never know what happens, and he might be needed. But very talented guy. We got another redshirt freshman in Bryce Shingleton, who's got a lot of mat time last year and developed over the summer. And then I might be missing somebody there, but at 41, we got a transfer and Kyle Rowan. Nobody really knows about him. He's a very talented kid. He was a double All-American at U23s last year. Jordan Hamden actually beat him to make the world team in Greco last year. And then I think he took third or fourth in freestyle. So and we're kind of pointing to him at 41, but we got some talented freshmen coming in, and Connor Younts, state finalist here in Michigan. You got Sammy Agnello, state finalist here. They've been up here training all summer. And, the signs are that, they're going to be a great contribution to the program. And then nice. The guy that I'm not even talking about that's coming off surgery, just getting back on the mat, is Evan Harriman. Davison kid, state champ. He's been around the block for quite a few years, and injury bug got a little bit of him last year, but very, very, very talented, and he's definitely in the mix. So nice. Then at 49, let me think here.
Let me jump in real quick, because I'm really excited about 149. I think, obviously Stauffenberg spent a lot of time in the lineup last year and was, on the Greco age group team over the last summer. Obviously a lot to work with there. And then, you referenced him earlier, Clayton Jones got in the lineup a couple different times as well. So, I mean, that's one that I'm looking at, just excited to see, what unfolds.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think both those guys are looking to get in the lineup. I don't know who's going to go what weight yet. They've been, and guys in team talk and so forth. But over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll kind of narrow that down and see what guys are going to do. And obviously, if they both go 49, they're going to push each other to the max. I mean, obviously, Clayton's a very, very dynamic wrestler, can score in a lot of different areas. He's quick, he's explosive. People like watching him wrestle. But then you got Braden. He's a tough dude. He's just tough, and he'll keep coming in your face. He never stops wrestling. Kind of more of a traditional in your face wrestler. So, I like both those guys a lot.
Excellent. So yeah, let's keep it rolling. 157.
Yeah, 57. Obviously, we have a guy who's going to be a redshirt freshman, and Jack Conley. He got some experience last year and saw some good upside to him. And but obviously, I don't think he expected to be the guy until Chase went into the portal and transferred out. But he's definitely got his opportunity. But I think those guys at 49 are probably looking at that weight as well. Mm-hmm. You got a state champ from DCC and Mason Stewart coming into our program, who's going to be a 57-pounder who's really talented. So, we have some options there, and, a lot's going to happen between now and the first time that we step on the mat.
I'm excited. And then 165, talk a little bit about what, some of the battles you expect to see there.
Yeah. So
we talked about DJ Shannon, my apologies, but yeah, talk a little bit about, who's going to be competing for him for that spot.
Yeah. So I might catch some people off guard here, but, you got DJ obviously dropping down. You got Jaden Iverson. He's a former national qualifier. He's from Michigan originally, been at Buffalo throughout his career. He graduated from Buffalo just a week ago, and he's a grad transfer for us. So he's coming into our program, and his intent is to go 165. So we have a really, really good situation there between DJ and Jay to push each other. I mean, These are guys who have been successful at the highest levels. And then, we have some other guys there too, but those are probably the two key guys that we're pointing to right now. But then you got incoming freshman Corey Thomas. He's a top 10 kid recruit in the country at his weight class. Fargo All-American last year and Michigan State champ. He won the postseason or the USA Folk Style Nationals there and dominated everybody out there. And he's a guy that we're looking to in this freshman class to make big name for himself. But then you also got I don't know how I missed this guy, Darius Marines.
Yep.
Okay, four-time Michigan State champ. I mean, I think he's a top 10 recruit in the country, depending on what rankings you look at. But he's going to be somewhere between 57 and 65. So, we have a lot of options there.
It definitely sounds like it. I mean, what are some of the things that you do in having conversations with guys on the team where it's constant battles throughout the season? Every practice is almost like a wrestle off, and kind of managing the highs and lows of getting through that.
I think the biggest thing, and I'm very, very transparent with my guys, is I try not to recruit over top of my guys, but I also tell our guys like, hey, so they don't be like, hey, you're recruiting over top of me. Well, the reality is competition's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need guys to push us to the next level. If we don't have good training partners, guess what? You get pretty stagnant. And I think competition's good. And in these cases, I mean, you look at DJ and Jay right now at 65, and then even Corey. Corey's really talented. And those guys have all trained together this summer, right? But I think iron sharpens iron. You hear that term all the time. And you know what? Those guys are just going to push each other to new levels. And I saw it this summer.
Excellent, excellent. So let's move to 184, because obviously we talked about Lane graduating, who was at the lineup there for many years at 84. So, who's looking to step into that spot?
I would say the guy who's probably the guy that we're pointing to, and he had some success. Even though he redshirted last year, is Luke Venadia. I mean, Ohio kid. He's had, Fargo All-American. He's been successful at the highest levels throughout his scholastic career and so forth. And I really liked what we saw last year when he competed on the mat, and the way he's trained this summer and whatnot. I mean, we saw some really good things, and I think people are going to be excited to see him on the mat. Obviously, he comes from a seasoned family. His brother's at Purdue, Ben Venadia. And so they just got that DNA in them. I mean, his twin brothers at heavyweight for us, and so I just like the Venadias where they compete. They're just tough kids.
100%, man, 100%. So, well, and I wanted to ask too before I jump into lineup battles and stuff with 197 and heavyweight, because last year was pretty cool with you guys with both those weights. Kale Whistler, every time on the Big Ten Network they told his story about how he's an engineer and how he uses his academic excellence and prestige to kind of translate some of that stuff into the wrestling. So talk a little bit about him and just his impact on the program, to this point.
I talk about, developing guys and guys buying into the system and what we're doing here. That's a guy we point to right there. Obviously he's developed quite a bit. Never won a Michigan, never won a state title in high school. He was actually, and I think I've told this story before, he was actually thinking of going to University of Toledo because they had an engineering program that he was looking at. And I remember him coming on his unofficial visit. It was postseason after his senior year. He still had to decide where he was going. And I didn't even guarantee him a spot on the team. I was like, what I see, I think you'll be fine. You buy into the process and, just, evolving and becoming a better wrestler. I was like, great things are going to happen for you. And that's exactly what's happened to him. I mean, he's just taken off, and, he's developed into a whole different guy. And, number one is he's confident now, and confidence goes a long way. Right. And you know what, in Division I wrestling, your confidence can be taken real quickly. But if you look at it very clearly, how you're executing in matches or not executing, and take the emotion out of it. And that's what Kale does. He takes the emotion out of it, and he's really a student of the sport. And I think that's why you're seeing him have success.
No, absolutely. I mean, 26-14 last year, 9-5 in duels. It looks like. So yeah, very, very impressive for a guy developing. And then, Josh Terrell as well. Talk a little bit about his story and his development.
I want to back up there a little bit because Kale Whistler, he's got a tough kid. I mean, he's one of the.
Let me pause for a second because I didn't want to jump past 197. So let's get right to it. Let's talk through the battles at 197 because that's going to be interesting too. Obviously, we'll do that before we jump up to heavyweight.
Yeah, you got Remy Cotton, right?
Yeah,
Remy Cotton, man. I mean, he's everything and more, right? I mean, he's a guy who's very passionate about what he does. He cares. I mean, he wants to be the best, and you know what? I mean, he's had a lot of success throughout high school, and even in the postseason events, and whether it be Fargo or Super 32 and those things. But he's a guy. I mean, in that freshman class, now redshirt freshman class, he's a leader of that group, and he I don't know who's going to win between those two, right? They're going to decide it. Competition's going to decide it. But you know what? They're going to make each other better, and I know they're making each other better. So, yeah,
Iron
I just,
sharpens iron.
yeah, right. Iron sharp iron, and you know, Remy, I'm, really pleased with him and his mindset this offseason.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Josh Terrell as well, because I know he has a pretty interesting story to highlight.
Yeah. So Josh, obviously, he had a very humble upbringing, and I mean, make a long story short, he was kind of taken under guardianship of Amy and Andy Miller, and they've always been Spartans. Actually, Andy Miller's father, he was our score clock keeper for 30-something years at Michigan State, from the early '90s
Wow.
all the way until like 3 or 4 years ago. But it's funny, Andy Miller and his wife Amy saw Josh. He was kind of he was termed homeless. He wasn't homeless, but he was termed homeless, and basically taken into this family. And they've taken him and his brother under their wing, and they've helped guide him. And he's in college now and having the ultimate success, both in the classroom and on the wrestling mat. So, very special kid.
100%. It's amazing to, I mean, I don't know what it is, right? Because a lot of times when you talk with wrestling coaches and people involved in the sport, they talk about what the sport teaches you and what you get from it, other than, just the physical aspects of it, but you get the mental aspects of it. But I think one of the other things that I really truly love about the sport is the people around it and how they're shaped by the sport and have that kind of like-mindedness to help out and to be involved and to show people, and to help out where they can. And it certainly was exciting to see Josh, who again had a really great season, 25-15. Had a lot of good wins throughout the year. But he's going to be battling for a spot in the lineup just like anybody else. So talk a little bit about the heavyweight battles and where you expect to see some of those unfold.
Yeah, obviously you got Josh. He's a big boy. He's put on some weight this summer. He's like 265 right now, which is good.
Mhm.
You got Max Venadia, twin brother of Luke. He's probably around 230, 235, a little bit more agile of a heavyweight, and he pushes Josh. I mean, obviously Josh has some size on him, but Max has learned how to deal with that size from a positioning standpoint and whatnot. But uh, he's just a tough kid, and he wants it just as bad as Josh. So you know what? There's no animosity there, which I love. We have a good team culture there, but when it's time to train, when it's time to push, they push each other, which is great. And then I'm trying to think here. We have Nick West, who's been around for for quite a few years now. I think he's going in his fourth year. Big guy. I mean, he's a Greco All-American, which in heavyweight you like to see Greco All-Americans, right? That means you can hand fight and stay in the center of the mat, right? Which is a big part of heavyweight wrestling. But he's all of 300 pounds. He's one of the few heavyweights I've ever coached that has to cut weight. So
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'm excited, man. I think, obviously with some youth comes some growth, and with growth, I'm sure as the season goes on, we'll have some lineups shifting and changing and everything else. But clearly it sounds like there's a litany of talent in the room, and people are going to develop. And I always say this, the cream rises to the top, right? And so as that'll continue to unfold, I'm sure we'll see some things changing. But yeah, we're excited to see the season, Coach, and really appreciate your time.
no, I appreciate you having me and let me talk about the guys a little bit. And you know what? This is a hungry group, and you know what? I'm excited to see what they do this year.
100%, man.